Hi there, I'm Amy Connell. Welcome to Graced Health, the podcast for women who want simple and grace-filled ways to take care of themselves and enjoy a little chocolate in the process. I'm a certified personal trainer and nutrition coach who wants you to know your eating, movement, and body don't have to be perfect. You just need to be able to do what you are called to do. Welcome to season 7 of the Graced Health podcast called In Our Cultures. I actually had the idea for this season really right after I began this podcast. So the idea for this kind of came to fruition like at the end of the end of 2019. I thought, this is what happened in my mind. I thought it would be interesting to introduce various types of fitness classes to my community that you might want to try while you are on vacation. I imagined you being on a cruise ship, or maybe at an international resort and having the confidence to try something new because you had heard about it here on Graced Health. Well, as you know, no one went on cruise ships or traveled internationally this summer. But as we figure out our new normal and we reset our schedules, not only for the fall, but kind of on an ongoing basis, and we start our new normal, I still wanted to go ahead and have these conversations. This season, you'll hear from several people who have different cultures of origin than I do. I think it's important to learn and discover those, as you know, we're all made in the image of God. And as Maya Angelou said, we are all more alike than we are unalike. Today, I'm starting these conversations with my colleague, Jennifer Breedlove. Jennifer is a trainer. She is owner of Rush 30 Fitness. She is a coach for World of Dance, UJam Fitness, which we do talk a lot about today. That's kind of the start of the focus of our conversation. She does corporate wellness. She's a certified fitness instructor. Jennifer has a unique story. She was once a single overweight mother of 4 who was searching for happiness and meaning. That led her to exercise, where she discovered herself and gave her strength, and it really gave life meaning and purpose. And we do talk about this a little bit. She just considers it such a pure joy to help people and corporations realize their fitness potential. She's a big believer in growing stronger together through exercise and producing the confidence and resolve to overcome challenges. And she loves to help her clients reach their goals. Jennifer and I talk some about her journey of finding who she is. We talk about her health and becoming an instructor for World of Dance, UJam. And then we talk a little bit about body image within the Black community and how her experience as a Black woman is different than mine as a white. And as I continue having these conversations, I'm realizing there's a lot of differences in the foundations of how we view our bodies. I know you'll find Jennifer inspiring and really will be able to see the beauty within her as we talk. Let's bring her on. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Just sitting here with my heated blanket. I just had some tea with lemon, so I am just relaxed and doing really, really well.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. You told me you were a little more of an early bird. So what time did your day get started today?
Oh boy, usually I rise around 4:30.
Wow.
I like
And
to get up early. That's when it's
yeah.
quiet, the kids are still sleeping, and that's kind of the best time for me just to just read and sit and meditate. Sometimes I would get an early morning exercise in. So it's just a really relaxing and peaceful time for me.
It is. I typically get up with my husband, and I like that too. Like, I feel like I am a better mom and a better wife if I can get up at least an hour before my kids get up.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
it just takes me a while to wake up, and it takes my mind a while and my heart a while. It's funny though, since we're here in quarantine, my husband gets up around 6:15. So I get up around 6:15 with him, which is
Mhm.
about an hour later than we normally do. But so like anytime in the fives is not that wow inducing to me. But if you put a four handle on that, I'm like, girl, that's early.
Yes, yes. That's when I know I'll have a productive day when I get up early because I can kind of plan for it and just kind of listen and just sit in stillness and it's fun for me. I enjoy it. Thank you.
I agree. I agree. It does seem to make for a more peaceful day just when you can take a few minutes and yeah, have that peacefulness and that stillness. I love how we're just kind of jumping right on in. And I
Mhm.
typically spend a few minutes talking with people, and I might just cut this part out, but include what we just what we
Yeah,
just talked about.
no,
But
I think it's important
I
how you start your day and how you start your routine because it sets the tone for what is to come. And so if you want to be deliberate in what you're doing, you will take that time to do that. So awesome.
absolutely, absolutely. Now, are you doing any training right now? What does your professional life look like in the midst of quarantine? Because I know mine has changed a lot.
Yes, everything has changed. My love and my life is the gym, and really it's the people at the gym that make up my classes. That's my heartbeat. Though that they are my reason why I used to get up and go out and teach and learn choreography and prepare programs and workouts, and it's for them. And also, I train well then pre quarantine. I think I heard someone refer to it as is it BC? But no, B. What is B? I
Oh,
forgot.
BQ.
Before
I haven't
quarantine.
heard that. That's funny.
so so much has changed to the goal is to stay connected uh, how we can online. So teaching my fitness program Rush 30 Fitness online in my group page is a great way for me to stay connected, and also with Zoom. That way I can have that face-to-face interaction and check on my students and see where they are and how they're doing. Many of us have been together for years, so we're bonded, we're a family. We grow together, we go through changes together, and we uplift one another. I absolutely love it. And also teaching World Advanced UJAM Fitness online is also a ton of fun. So we're just pivoting and adjusting to this change, and it can be whatever you make of it. Life gives us all lemons. So what are you going to do with it? So I have to mount up, jump on the horse, and get out there and reach the people that I love and that I care about. So that's my focus for each day. How can I reach them where they are and really make continue to make that connection, and also there'll be new people watching. So to really tailor the workouts and the programs and the messages that I put out to kind of reach from a broader perspective, if you will.
I love that. I echo the importance of community, particularly in the fitness world. And I tell you, I really miss seeing a lot of my clients and students in the flesh in real life. I love that you're doing that, and I love that you are continuing the community feel even though we aren't actually face to face.
Yeah.
I was wondering if we could back up just a little bit, and if you could tell everybody, because we just kind of jumped in, and I've introduced you with all of your information before we got on here. But if
Okay.
you could just tell everybody a little bit about your story into becoming a fitness professional, because I know we all have our different threads of how we entered the fitness industry. And I think they're all really, most of the time, they're really inspiring. So I would love to hear about yours.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you for asking. My story is much like many of my students. Back in 2009, I was a stay at home mom with 4 children, homeschooling, housework, the daily duties, the chores. And it was a lot for me to continue to do things daily that it just felt overwhelming because there was an overwhelming sense of disconnect from who I am and what is important to me. Who am I outside of these roles and duties and responsibilities? And with 4 kids and being married at that time, it just was it really made me search myself. So it was the beginning of the search for me. Who are you in this? Where are you in this? And how many more years do you want to experience the feeling of disconnect, not feeling truly happy and purposeful? And that's what I started out seeking. So that is what took me to the gym. And I went to the gym really because they offered childcare. I needed that break, just a mental break. And I'm like, oh my goodness, childcare. I didn't have a lot of interest in exercising at that time. I just needed a breather. And so
Oh, I
that's what I
totally get that.
found at the gym. I could just sit. I can finally sit, and I know my children will be okay. And after a while, I made my way into a group fitness class. I didn't even have fitness clothes at that time. I had a scarf on my head, a baseball cap, and some baggy clothes. And I worked out on the back row, like I said, a size 18, about 200 pounds back then. And I just continued to show up for class. And I made a connection with the people there and the instructors. And it began to be my home away from home, the place I started looking forward to going. So I understand how it feels to be that overweight person. I was shy, I was afraid, and on the back row. So I know how important those connections are, which is why I try to stay true and authentic to the people that I serve, because I was one of them. And that is where I found myself, my power, my freedom in the group fitness room at the YMCA here in Missouri City, Texas. And so time would go by and I began to lead classes there as an instructor, and it really has been life changing. So I dropped the weight, I feel amazing, but it really did start for me with a shift in my thinking, with the search for who I am. So just going from the inside out for me.
I totally get that. And I too have to admit to utilizing the childcare at the gym, that it truly is a lifesaver sometimes.
It
I mean, when you're in the
is.
weeds with a bunch of little people and you just
Mm-hmm.
like have an adult conversation, I
Yes.
completely agree. I completely agree. And and it's funny too, because I think that oftentimes we are presented with seasons in our life, and
Mm,
maybe you being a stay-at-home mom was where you needed to be in that season. And then, God took you out of that, and he knew that, there was more for you. But,
mm-hmm.
it, it's funny. I interviewed a pastor a couple of weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
Reverend Donna Owusu Ansah, and she said, "God did not call me to be a stay-at-home mom."
Yes. Yes. Especially when I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But for me, I know I could serve first of all, to serve your family and your children is that was a priority for me, but it should not come at a sacrifice. So
Hmm.
as I begin to understand the definition of love and that it's not self-sacrifice, it really shifted my perspective. And so what it made me do is add me to my own list. So instead of doing 100 things for everybody else, go to the store, pick up, soccer, this, that, it's constant. It's a never ending list. And I said, let me make one adjustment to this list. I will put myself on the top of the list. And that was the beginning of change for me. So it really started with a sense of self-love and just some self-awareness of who you are and what your needs are. And those don't have to be sacrificed at all.
Absolutely. I cannot agree more. And I agree. I mean, there is, I think I would consider myself a hybrid stay-at-home mom. Like I'm home, my kids. I've got things going during the day, but I'm working from home, and I don't even know how to what I would call myself. But yeah, there's nothing
Mhm.
wrong with it. But I do think that it's important to pay attention to where we feel like we need to be now and in the future. So I love that you did that. Can you tell me? So let's talk a little bit about your professional career right now.
Okay.
You've talked about teaching classes at the gym. What kind of classes do you teach? I think you do personal training as well. So help us understand a little bit more of like when you walk into the YMCA, when you walk into the gym, what does that look like, and what kind of formats and classes are you teaching and serving?
Well, that's a wide span that ranges from everywhere from teaching special populations group like seniors. I absolutely love seniors to teaching strength training, cardio training, HIIT, core. You name it. I've even taught yoga and Pilates before, but now with the shift with us being in quarantine, I am focusing more on teaching, even prior to quarantine, teaching World of Dance, UJAM Fitness, which is a dance party to urban beats. It's athletic cardio. And I know dance can be a little intimidating for some people, as it was for me. But what I really love about World of Dance, UJAM Fitness, is that they have a core message, and that message is peace, love, unity, and acceptance, and to really be mindful to create a non judgmental environment. And so that's what I'll create in the classrooms, and that's what you'll find in all of the classrooms for World of Dance, UJAM Fitness. So when people realize, hey, I'm not being judged, they're accepting me for who I am, where I am, then they move better. They move through the choreography with a sense of fun and a sense of freedom. And it also included in World of Dance is that the beats are from around the world. So we dance to world beats, including Bollywood, K-pop, Latin, jazz, and Afro beats. And it's just with the urban flair to it. And people enjoy it. I enjoy it. And it's nice to be connected with an instructor community and members from around the world. I also teach Rush 30 Fitness, where I started as a personal trainer and I created my own program, which is still cardio, strength, core, HIIT. But the reason for it is because I needed something in addition to take care of the people in my own community here who are not members at the different clubs that I went to. So I created programs to get people stronger, to get people fit, to get people lean. And I helped them shift their focus to not look from the outside like, hey, I want six pack abs and this and that. Why don't you let's start from within, because that was my start. I had to start with the search for myself, and being happy is so important. You can't be stressed out, overweight, under eating, or overeating and expect to have good health and good fitness. So it really invites people to look within and start the transformation from there. And that's kind of the basis of Rush 30 Fitness and my personal training.
And I love that perspective. I think that's something that a lot of us want, and that's part of my ministry as well, is
Hmm.
going from the inside. We don't have to have six pack abs, and I'm 45. I mean, that ship was never, I would like to say it sailed long ago, but it never docked. I mean, but the freedom that comes with focusing on the inside, and then accepting your body for what it's able to do, not for what it looks like, is
Mhm.
it really is so freeing, and it makes all the difference in the world. But it's something that I think we need to hear a lot of. And so it sounds like you're really doing that with all of your programs, and particularly Rush 30 Fitness. When you're sitting here talking about world events, UJAM, I want to dig into that just a little bit more,
Mhm.
because so this is the deal. I grew up
Mhm.
dancing. Like I
Okay.
danced for 11 years out of my
Oh.
12 years of schooling. I mean, I started in first grade, and I did it until my sophomore year when I moved. and then I did the whole pom thing. I did the whole drill team thing. Once I went to college, it kind of all went down except for, part
Fun.
dancing with the help of a little bit of liquid courage, late nights in college. But I have to admit, so like I feel like I have a decent amount of awareness of the space that my body is in, and tap and jazz and all of that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But there's something about, and I'm sorry, is it okay if I just shorten it to calling it UJAM? I hear you saying World Events UJAM Fitness, but
Yeah,
I just say
yes,
UJAM.
yes,
Okay.
yes.
So there's something when I look at UJAM, I'm like, man, that looks awesome. And I could never do that. But when you say peace, love, unity, acceptance, I have to imagine that is something that's really important for people to know when they first even decide to go. So tell me a little bit about what I would expect the first time walking in, what encouragement you would give to people who are like, I don't know. I don't know that I can move that
Well,
way.
lucky for you, you have a dance background, so you have some sense of how your body's moving through space and time. So the same encouragement I would give to someone else is the encouragement that I needed. While I taught many different formats, as far as teaching with a barbell and dumbbells and mixed martial arts and just different things, I had not tackled dance. And so it was very intimidating for me. I mean, super scary for me not having a dance background. And so when I remember when I showed up at the training, I was so deathly afraid. And the reason I went is because I kept seeing it online. I kept hearing about the message, and every time I looked online, I saw happy people of all varieties, all shapes, sizes, colors, ages, abilities, disabilities. I kept noticing this common theme every time I would go onto Facebook or Instagram. I'm like, they genuinely look happy. So I said, I will show up at the training, at an instructor training. And that was what changed me. It really did change my life, because it's not just a message. It's not just, hey, it's peace, love, unity, and acceptance. It's what they do. It's what they carry out. It's so genuine. And this community has embraced me as definitely a non-dancer with no sense of timing and rhythm. Meaning, as far as timing, I can do my own groove, but put in understanding choreography put together and counts and timing. So it was a lot for me to learn. But when I'm learning with people who don't care so much about how I'm dancing, but that I'm there and I'm enjoying myself and that I'm having a good time being connected with them. I love how one of the fellow instructors says that it's not about the move, it's all about the groove, and that there is no wrong move except for out the door. So
That's
it's a
great.
beautiful thing. It's a beautiful community. So what can you expect? You can expect to dance to urban beats. You can expect to dance to world flavors. Lots of high fives, lots of praise, lots of encouragement. And we create an environment that people want to continue to come back to. And watching, it was originally UJAM, so you are right in saying that. Watching UJAM grow, I've been a part of it 10 years, where it started with the co-founders, Matt and Susie, in California. And watching this grow, here it is 10 years later. And so we did change the name to World of Dance UJAM, where I'm a coach for World of Dance UJAM. That's where the NBC television show moves into the fitness arena, and they merge together to create World of Dance UJAM Fitness, which furthers our message of peace, love, unity, and acceptance. And it's so neat because now we create our own music, and how it supports the community of dancers and creative people and non-dancers. You don't have to be creative. You just have to come in and enjoy yourself. So it's a beautiful thing. It's where I feel a lot of love, and same as Rush 30 Fitness, where I also give a lot of love. And I hope you will try it someday soon.
I, my intention was, yes, to try it and leave that fear at the door and
Yes.
not move outside. But I think actually, maybe I could join you online and do it from the
Yeah.
comfort
Go
of
to
my
the
own
Rest
home where
Dirty
no one.
Fitness lounge page. I had to leave my fears behind because they're doing all kinds of fun dances, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't do that. I don't know that I can. But when you look around the class and nobody seems to care what you're doing, they're just all pumping it up and having a great time. It just makes me just throw all of that out of the window, get out of my head, get into my heart space and fully enjoy myself. So I hope you'll join me someday online.
I would love to do that. It's funny. I'm reading a book right now called The Joy of Movement. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm,
it or not, called
mm,
or by a PhD named Kelly McConigal. And
mhm,
she really delves into the science behind that, that quote runner's high and
mm,
discovers, and I'm just kind of brand new into it, but I heard an interview with her. So I feel like
mhm.
I know a little bit more, but talking about how everybody moving all at the same time to a particular beat, and I mean how those really facilitate that same um, high that you can get anytime that you're running. But anyway, just how that facilitates our mental health and our physical health and to be stronger and happier and joyful. So it sounds like what
Yes,
you are
yes.
experiencing is exactly what she's talking about in this
It
book. So
it
once I
it
finish, I'll let you
is.
know more about it.
Please do it. There is something unique about the shared experience, and what we call it is unity, and something we say all the time is united we jam.
Oh, I
So when
love
we're
it.
on the same page, kind of frequencies, same vibration, and lifting each other up, because it's a big part of it, to lift up one another and to come together, and you really find a sweet spot when we are all moving. It doesn't have to be perfect and in unison, but we're all there together. So it's just present. We're all present to the moment. And that yields great rewards. Mentally, that means you're no longer thinking about the challenges at home or what's coming up next. Uh, also, physically, I think anytime you sweat with people and you do something that challenges you, it just brings you closer together. So
Yes.
that's another thing that I love. So you are right about that. It sounds like she has an interesting book, but I think in part that is just being very keenly present to what you're doing. And that's where you find the rewards. You'll find more benefits there. And I think that's why people keep coming back to it.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds like a wonderful community. And also from a technical perspective, I really admire any instructors who are able to teach dance, because I used to teach step aerobics once upon a time. And
Ah,
so that
good.
is hard. That's a lot of prep.
It
That is a
is.
very big step. So I know that you do that so well, and your community is thriving because of your technical um fortitude, I guess I don't know if that's the right
Well,
word
you
or
know
not,
what?
but
I'll share this here a secret for a world of dance secret that's kind of out there. So the creators of our choreography are world influencers for dance. So the people who shape and move and influence dance are the creators of the choreography. So we get a really neat inspirational video, and you see people like Alexander Chung and the Feel Rights of the world doing these amazing dances. And so our creative team, Susie and the rest of the team, they'll look at that choreography and see how can we break this down for people who are non-dancers, or how can we challenge and grow. And so they redo the choreography, making it fitting for me as an instructor and for the students in my classroom. So we get to do those fun dances just in a way that is safe and that allows for more fitness and athleticism and allows for us to have a great time doing it. So all of the dances are done by professional dance influencers. That's who inspires the choreography.
That's great. That really does help when you're teaching it to have that influence. Jennifer, I would love to do a little bit of a pivot, and I have to give you a full disclosure. You and I have talked a little bit before we got on here
Mhm.
about the conversation and where we want it to go. And so I have to admit, I don't know why, but I'm just kind of nervous about this next section because the whole point of this series was to really just kind of open our eyes to different types of fitness classes. We just get in the habit of doing the same thing over and over. Different cultures uh impacts, not now I'm thinking of the wrong word, but
Mhm.
anyway,
Yeah.
so as we go into this next section, I want
Mhm.
you to feel like you can tell me, like, oh no, that's not okay, or I don't know, I don't even know what I'm saying. I just want to admit to you that
Okay.
this I'm a little nervous to take these next steps because I have nothing but just good intentions of learning. And so
Okay.
I don't want to be offensive. I don't want to be, say the wrong thing. I'm always
Mhm.
terrified about saying the wrong thing. So there's
Mhm.
my little disclosure. But
Okay.
uh, in the African American community, one thing I have noticed, and really I have been a little envious of, is that the women really have a strong, positive body image. And I know that this is a really broad statement, and
Mhm.
you just can't say, it'd be foolish to think that that just covers everyone. But
Mhm.
to me, in general, African American women have a stronger, positive body image than white women. And so
Mm.
can we dig into that a little bit? Like, that's I know that there's probably that's a complicated question, but
Yeah, yeah, sure,
why do you think
sure.
that is? And so let's just kind of
Hmm.
start there.
Okay, sure.
And
Well,
am I wrong? I could be wrong.
well, just historically, it just kind of in the beginning, when you look at what role models African Americans had to help them understand what beauty is and their unique beauty, we didn't have much in just historically because we didn't see ourselves on television, we didn't see ourselves in magazines, we didn't see ourselves in the media, so we didn't have anything else to look at except for within our own homes, within our communities. So we had strong mothers to look up to, strong grandmothers to look up to, and when you look there at the people who are taking care of you, and it's a beautiful strength that they have, that didn't have a whole lot to do anyway with a lot of, external things, as we see now in the media. So you get a sense of beauty and who you are from your parents, from your community. And then ultimately you search for it and find it within yourself, like I had to do, and like most people have to do. You have to decide for yourself, what is beautiful and what that means to you.
So it sounds like the message of beauty and self-acceptance was really the stronger foundation than anything external of what we look like.
Right, because when you look at magazines, sometimes they'll show you images of people who may be unhealthy,
Mhm.
unhealthy. They are maybe unusually thin. They're not working out. They're not keeping up with a healthy diet. But when we look at these images and then we try to compare ourselves with them, and so now we want to be thinner. You want to be something that is unrealistic. It's unhealthy.
Yeah.
So to really embrace yourself and embrace your body, that's something that I had to learn early on because I didn't have the magazines. I didn't have a lot of dolls and different things that look like me. So I think the best place for us as a community or as an individual to go is within and decide for yourself what is beautiful, and get yourself on a regimen to do things that perpetuate your health and your beauty.
I love that. And what you said earlier, I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like that somewhat confirms a theory that I have had as I've been
Mhm.
learning more about the lack of representation among all types of color other than white. And I've
Mhm.
just kind of been on my process and my journey in race reconciliation and just learning in general. But my theory was because women our age didn't grow up with seeing as an African American, you didn't grow up seeing representation in, like you said, in the magazines, on the TV shows, and the movies, on the billboards. I mean, there was just a bunch
Mhm.
of really thin white women. And I have
Right.
wondered in the past if one of the reasons African American women have seem to have a stronger body image is because they didn't have they didn't have that to compare themselves to. So kind of like you're saying, we're focusing more on the beauty on the inside. And
Indeed.
because the industry and the media is getting better, and I recognize it is not perfect. I mean, what is it? Hashtag Oscars are so white. I mean, and I'm not saying it is, it is fully complete. I'm saying they are, taking steps that are better.
Mhm.
I'm wondering if this has changed a little bit in the last 10 years where we are seeing more women of color, but it does seem like even yes, we have a lot of different colors out there, but we still have a lot of thin color out there. And so, do you see with maybe the younger generation, are they developing the strong body image that maybe you grew up with because you didn't have that comparison, or is that still continuing to permeate the culture of being strong and finding the beauty within? That's kind of a complicated question. So I'll
Yeah,
just let
no,
you
no,
pick and choose
I
how you want
know.
to respond.
Well said. I am thankful to have not had a distorted image of what beauty is. The image was just distorted for all of us as women. Like we could never achieve that, you know, to
Oh
be
yeah.
super thin. And, that comes with eating disorders and just all types of things that distort what is real and what's everyday life. So in order to maintain that healthy body image, you touched on it and so did I. We had to go back to our mothers. We had to go back to our community. And I do think that image is changing just with social media because now you have access to more information. So with people posting more health videos, more fitness, you see people celebrating their beauty in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and at every weight, gay, straight. It just doesn't matter. They're celebrating themselves. And to see a group of people celebrating themselves, well, that rubs off on you. It makes you want to celebrate yourself and say, hey, I no longer have to live up to an original distorted image. I can be who I am. I see millions of people on Facebook and who are now albino. They're showing their freckles. They're showing whatever is beautiful. So I think our awareness expands with social media. Now you can go on to get information on how to eat. You can follow a whole diet plan and workout plan just by looking at social media. So I think as a people, we're evolving, we're growing, and I have seen lots of progress. Now I can turn on the TV and see people like me, or in magazines and on billboards. So I love that there is more diversity and more acceptance for all communities. So I think that's a really good question. And just bottom line, a healthy body image does start with just have a healthy mindset. So there's no way around having a healthy mindset in order to have that healthy body image. So
Yeah.
self-acceptance for sure.
I agree. I agree. And I think going back to the social media point, it's funny because I think the missing key, or not the missing key, but the element in there that's so important is being aware and intentional of who you are following. Because
Mm,
I personally, on my Graced Health account, like those I follow are those who represent um, that self acceptance of being
mm,
happy in their own body and moving in a way, and represent a diverse way of moving, and just of who they are. And so I think too, one problem, and I know we're not talking about teens or our kids or anything like that on this episode, but it's you've got to have that awareness of like, who am I following, and who am I allowing to influence me in my heart? Because I think it can also get really intimidating sometimes if you're like, oh
and more,
wow, she's
and in
really,
addition to that, who's following you?
yeah.
So that's so on one hand, sure, who are you following? But who's looking at you, and your first audience is your children.
Hmm.
So you have to have a healthy mindset and a healthy image around you. And then your community, you're a leader in your community. So with Grace Health, finding ways to find grace all around your health and fitness, I think it's a beautiful, a really beautiful thing, because those are the types of messages that we need to hear. Now, I'm not a white woman, but what 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 is it, or I think that's a great question. I wonder why that is. What makes it maybe a challenge for that community? I don't know, to find self acceptance. And I could be off. Or what do you think that's about?
Oh, you're turning the tables on me. the
Because it's a good perspective. So I'm
It
just curious,
is.
because all I know is from my own community.
Well, it's interesting. I've had conversations with friends of color, um, of all different shapes. And it's like, tell me, because I've always wanted to dig in. And the
Hmm.
thread that I continued to hear was, it was never an issue in my house growing up. My
Mm.
mother never, and there have been, again, that these are broad statements. And so that's really
Mhm,
unfair to me to say. I mean, it's not going to capture
mhm,
everybody. Um, I think I think a lot of us are influenced by our family of origin, and a lot of our moms were influenced by like Twiggy and the really, really,
mm,
really thin white women, and they didn't have. I mean, we're just now getting into the point where we're seeing diverse groups of people represented. I mean, all they had were beautiful, thin white women to look up to. And so, I think that was somewhat ingrained in what they felt like they had to achieve to be considered beautiful. Um, and I don't know. I've talked with a lot of people
mhm,
who have shared that, and and they're in not in a they weren't meant in to be hurtful or harmful, but whether a
mhm,
lot of the moms were really, really focused on their looks, not on their health, but on their looks. and
mm.
and it's funny, I had a conversation with a counselor that aired a few weeks ago,
Okay.
and it was how to raise our daughters with healthy body image, because I have a lot of women
Oh,
coming to me saying, how do I raise my daughter with a healthy body image, because I have
right.
shared my struggles with that. And I was like, I first of all don't even have a daughter to speak on, and I'm not qualified to do this, so let me bring on an expert. And the one thing
Okay.
that she really that she said that just struck me,
Uh-huh.
was, she said, your daughters are not listening to what you are saying about them. They're listening to what you're saying about yourself and
Ooh.
about others.
Wow.
So I think,
Wow.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for that. Thank you. No, wow. Who
Well,
said that?
Her name was Christina Chismar. She's a licensed counselor, and this was in season 3. I think it was maybe around episode 3 or 4 or something like that. And it's called How to Raise Your Daughters with a Healthy Body Image. And she had
Mm.
a lot of really great things, but to me, that was the thing that was the biggest takeaway, because they don't, you can tell them all day long how beautiful they are, but what
Mm-hmm.
they really are ingesting is what you're saying about yourself, which I
Mm.
think that there's a very big disconnect. There can be a very big disconnect. Oh, honey, you're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're beautiful. Oh man, I
Mm-hmm.
look really fat today. Oh, my pants don't
Ah.
fit. And
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Boy,
it's
that
mind
makes you want
blowing,
to
isn't it?
change. Yeah, it is. Thank you for sharing that. I have 3 daughters, and of course I compliment them and I lift them up, but I want to be even more aware of what I'm saying about me, and that is a message that is definitely worth sharing. Wow. It is mind blowing.
It's really powerful. So I think to answer your question, getting back to that, is it really does have a lot to do with what we heard growing up, to those who were close to us and who loved us, and then those neurons. I'm learning more and more about story work, and how our childhood growing up has such an impact on just even how our brain works as adults. And I
Mm.
think those are really deep grooved connections in our brain, and it takes
Mhm.
really hard to create new connections. So it's funny,
Mm.
when I speak, I talk sometimes about emphasizing the positive,
Yeah.
and one of those things is like just journaling like 3 things that you did well today. Again, part to
Oh.
retrain your brain to be more positive, because I think it's really easy to get in a, like, you get out of the shower and you're like,
Yeah.
yourself apart. So anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent.
No, I think that that's so relevant, because if you take what you just said and write down 3 things about your own body, your own image. Like I had a set of twins, so my tummy looks like I had a set of twins. So so for me and others who want to continue to improve and grow, write down 3 things about your body that you are learning to embrace, that you are learning to love. I have a big forehead. You have to own it. Hey,
See, and
I
we're
love
all
my
our own
forehead.
harshest critics too, right? Because I look at
Yeah.
you, and I look at you, and you're, I'm like, damn, she's had twins, and look at her, and and I've never noticed anything about your forehead. So I think we are our own
Yeah.
harshest critic. And so why are we tearing ourselves down so much when
Right.
nobody else is seeing what we're seeing?
No. Right. So I think those affirmations will help with anything, because once you start in one area, it starts to expand to all areas. So I think that's a really good takeaway for us to continue to raise the awareness that we get, like I said, on social media, but to write down those things. And I believe that will begin to turn the tide of the message of our children, of our grandchildren, and then that can really speak later to future messages, just by me and other moms and other parents, just leaving that note to yourself. Hey, you are beautiful. You are doing a great job. And who you are, whatever it is, if it's your lips, if it's your eyes are stunning. Your lips are perfect for you. So
Yes.
that's so relevant.
Yes. And then I would say too, like, I actually created this journal, like a 30 days of giving yourself grace. I can't remember what it is, but it starts off with the scripture, and then, just has, that's kind of somewhat health focused and how you can apply it. And then each day has, it's 3 things my body did well today, because I think
Oh,
it's important to think about how your body is moving and treating you, and what it's able to do. In addition to seeing the beauty on the outside. So, beautiful eyes, and a great smile. Like, I'm like, Jennifer, you have an amazing smile. But if
oh,
for
thank
some
you.
reason that went away, you would still be an amazing person. And so
Oh,
taking that
thank you.
layer a little bit deeper, and just recognizing that, the beautiful ways your body is able to move and to serve you and to serve others. And then at the end, I have, one thing my body, or one way I'll honor my body today.
Mm,
So I actually developed it for as like kind of a little quiet time, something to do, for just
mm,
a few minutes in the morning. But yeah, I mean, I think really just focusing on, the depth of our beauty and of our, how we can move and what our body can do for us too. And I think
mhm,
changing that focus, or really, focusing on its abilities, and taking,
mm,
and not so much how it looks, I think really gives you a
mhm.
lot of confidence and power as well.
Indeed, indeed. Wow, indeed. And it's similar to it's just like what you're doing, and that's what I really love about what you're doing and the positive messages that you are getting out to women, because we need that. As I spoke of social media, and but to comb through all of that and find a place of grace and acceptance is just refreshing. So I just appreciate that about you, and just thank you so much for offering that to women, because it takes the pressure off, right? Like,
Yeah.
pressure off, you can be you. You can
Well,
wake up and be you.
and you're doing the same thing, right? I mean, you're out
Mhm.
there and you're helping everybody. And I love part of your story of transforming your body to use it in a way that can serve others and that can encourage and motivate others. So I just think you have done some great things. I thank you for this time, Jennifer, and being willing to, answer some of my questions, and particularly
Hey.
about body image, in the African American culture. I know this is a very complicated, and there are many, many layers that you and I could probably do an entire show on week after week
Mhm.
after week.
Mhm.
So thank you for being, open to having that conversation. If people want to find you, if they are local and want to visit your classes, can you tell people, how to get in touch with you?
I'm definitely on Instagram, Rush 30 Fitness, Facebook, Rush 30 Fitness, everything Rush 30 Fitness. And if you have a question for me directly, you can reach me at info at rush30fitness.com. I'm there to help you take your questions, help design programs that will aid you in becoming the stronger and the best version of yourselves, that start with self acceptance and growing from there. So find me on
That's
all the platforms under Rush 30 Fitness,
Rush
or my
30.
personal page, Jennifer Breedlove. Yes.
That's fantastic. That's kind of, people ask me and I'm like, just Graced Health. Where it's I don't do Twitter or Snapchat, but yeah, anywhere on
No
Instagram or Facebook.
Snapchat.
Oh gosh, no, I
Kids
can't
love
even do
Snapchat.
it. Oh, my kids love it too. And I will say the one thing about Snapchat, I've got to give them credit for their news feeds. My older
Ah.
son is on it, and he
Mhm.
really ingests a lot of news from what they have on there. And from what he
Mhm.
tells me, it sounds like it's pretty balanced and it shows a lot of different sides. And maybe that's because maybe he's intentionally doing that. But I do
Ah.
give him,
My
I have
kids
to give
didn't
him
tell
credit for
me any
that.
of that. But meanwhile, they're on TikTok and doing all those crazy latest dance moves. I don't know if yours are on TikTok, but it's just so much fun.
You
So
have
we're enjoying quarantine with the different TikToks and just seeing everybody making the best of this situation. It's a lot of fun. You have to get a TikTok account.
Oh, no. First of all, I have two boys, which doesn't
Okay.
necessarily mean that they won't do anything dancy, but that is
Okay.
not in their wheelhouse. I'm not sure I'm quite ready for that. I have a hard enough key
Okay.
time keeping up with what I'm doing, but yeah. Oh, and I'm sure, yeah. And when you say you don't know where they get that, I'm like, I know where they get that. They get that from seeing you rock out and
Yes. Yes.
doing some fantastic things with your body.
Oh,
Oh,
indeed.
goodness. Jennifer,
Thank
thank you
you.
so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. And this conversation, I learned a lot. I learned a lot about just historically where we were, where we are, and the beautiful picture is where we're going as women, where we're going as a community. And I think we're headed in the right direction. So thank you so much for having me.
I mentioned Jennifer's fantastic smile during this conversation, and I really hope you go find her on the socials and see what I'm talking about. I mean, it just lights up a picture. Now, if you feel like there was something missing from this conversation, Jennifer and I both agree. We actually recorded this in March of 2020 when everything shut down and we were all home. I said, hey, let's go ahead and get on and record. I don't know when this is going to air, but I want to go ahead while we have the time and record this. As you heard, we focused on Black culture as it relates to body image, health, and learning about UJAM World of Dance Fitness. However, so much has transpired since then. Personally, I have been on this journey of listening and learning. I hope you listened to my conversation with Reverend Donna Owusu Ansah. But there's so much that we, or at least that I still have to learn from the Black community on how I can be a part of helping to heal our nation and promote racial justice. So Jennifer and I are trying to schedule a time where we can get back together, and it will probably just come out as a bonus episode because I don't know that we're going to be really speaking specifically about health stuff. But if you are enjoying listening, and if you have been learning from our Black sisters and brothers, then keep your eyes open for that. And we will, I'll make sure to promote that and put that on my monthly journal when that comes out. You can get that monthly journal by going to gracedhealth.com/monthly-updates. I'll put this in the show notes. Also, I would love to send you my 14-day body image devotional that kind of takes a little bit of my story, my struggles, and really delves into the scripture and what God says about our body. Also, thanks to those of you who have rated and reviewed. It means so much when you do that. And so if you could just take like 2 seconds and go do that, I would really appreciate it. What's the one simple thing I want you to remember? That your body was meant to move, and it can move however you want, even if you're uncomfortable doing it at the beginning. I am sure Jennifer was very uncomfortable moving her body when she first started out. And I tell you what, she is amazing to watch. I'm just so inspired by her movements. So find your own path, find your own meaning of how your body loves to move, and lean into that. Go forward to that. And also try a UJAM class if you are interested. And I probably should take my own advice with that. I'm just nervous, you guys. I'm really nervous, but I will try it. Okay. On that note, that is all for today. Go out there and have a graced day.